Well above average in the 70s, even 60s after the sun goes down. So again, that's the severe side of the storm, Maria, but you're talking about the snowy side because we can see some very impressive snow totals too.
Yeah, you're familiar, very familiar with this beautiful town, Jackson, Wyoming, and that's the arch that you were talking about, right?
Made of elk antlers. They drop them every year, and they have 4 of those arches around that square, all made of antler elks.
Yeah, and I want to hear sleigh bells when I look at this live shot. It's just a beautiful, and they're up and early and at it right now. A lot of cars passing through this scene, but you can see it is snow covered, maybe as much as a foot possible here with that storm. And again, it's a good thing in this part of the country, right? We want to see that snow pile up. So here we have the radar, and you can see the blue is the snow and the green is the rain. Seeing a little bit of that around Denver as you head westbound on I-70. Again, with the mountains, it's tough to get a really good sense of the radar sometimes because of the higher elevation. So maybe a little bit more coverage here than actually the radar is depicting. But where the snow is falling is exactly where we have the dip in the jet stream, and that's supplying the cold air. And again, it is relative because it's somewhat limited by December standards in that it's marginally cold, right? To 20s and 30s, not talking about teens and single digits. Out ahead of it, of course, that record warmth. But that's also supplying the moisture with our developing area of low pressure. And so we have air cold enough for some rain, for sure, and definitely some snow. And sometimes right on that borderline is where we're seeing the best chance to get those high totals. A lot of times that can happen, that setup. So today, the snow falling all the way from Arizona on up into the Dakotas. So Rapid City picking up some snow, certainly Nebraska, Kansas, especially the western side of the states. It'll be really adding up. By tomorrow, just too warm for any snow, even on into Monday for, say, Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago for sure, even Des Moines. There may be a few spots that you could see a little bit mixed in. When all is said and done, by Monday evening, Goodland, Kansas, right on the edge there, maybe half a foot or more of snow. You see 5 to 8 inches west of Denver, maybe Denver in that 3 to 5. So where you see here, those winter storm watches and advisories as well as warnings, a pretty good chunk of the country, the western part of the country, under those kinds of levels. And then Denver, haven't seen snow since November, picking up some today. And peas, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's
a lot of work,
but
that worthy.
They came to some type of agreement.
Yes.
And again, perhaps one of the signs of a changing climate is our weather here across the eastern 2/3 of the nation. Insanely warm. Let's just call it hot. Talking temperatures in the 70s and 80s where they should be in the 50s.
In the meantime, yeah, you do have a lot. And then the snow, right? We've got the snow coming down. Eventually, that'll be piling up in maybe close to a foot in portions of western Kansas and Nebraska here.
We're also tracking that severe threat. Again, we're talking about Houston first, then it pushes on. Actually, Houston, better chance tomorrow. Dallas tonight, and then pushes on towards Shreveport as well. Even Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, all dealing with the risk of severe weather in this.
Heads up there.
Let's move on towards Monday. We're going to watch this system push eastward and more rain coming into the southeast. And you're thinking, okay, you're cooling down big time in Atlanta from the 70s. No, that's still above average. We should be
by 11 degrees.
Yeah, we should be in the mid-50s. You're still in the 60s with rain coming down. Rain also pushing in the northeast and much of New England. Unfortunately, not the best pattern for ski resorts just before Christmas, but we're going to have snow at the highest elevations. But initially, most of that falling will be rain.
What's interesting, too, is that parts of the northeast experiencing moderate drought conditions. So welcomed rain in that regard. But you get an idea of the temperature divide just looking at the precip map here come Tuesday, right? It's colder in the west compared to the east, and it's a lot of snow here once again in through the central plains.
Look at this. 55 in Phoenix, 59 in New York City as we head on towards Tuesday. If that's not cray-cray, I don't know what is.
All right. Getting a little bit of a reprieve in the Pacific Northwest here Tuesday into Wednesday, so generally lighter showers. You still have the snow going and temperatures staying low here in Denver from the 20s and the 30s. And finally, Minneapolis, again, 36 degrees, more in line with average, even though it's going to feel like a big cool down.
Even that's still a little bit above average.
It is.
More rain showers across the southeast, and Atlanta still running in the 70s. But behind this system, finally closer to normal. Our average this time of the year, 58 for a high in Dallas.
All right, here we go. Thursday, and it's rain along the I-95 corridor. Again, still relatively speaking above average and warm here into the mid-50s all the way up into Boston. Yet another system rolling into the west, and so it's the Bitterroots, it's the Great Basin. More rain along the 5, but basically north of I-80 here.
And potentially maybe helping out your chances of a white Christmas here. Northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, even the UP of Michigan. We have snow as we head on towards this coming Thursday.
And here we go Friday. This is T-minus 1 week until Christmas, by the way. And you have highs into the near 30 in Chicago. And that's more like it, Minneapolis. 20 for a high. I'm curious, when was the last time we had a high in the 20s? Probably earlier this season, right? I think we had that one really chilly break with highs in the 20s.
Brief down the temperatures.
Yeah.
And look at this. Perhaps a decent lake effect event coming off of Lakes Erie and also Lake Ontario. Again, Buffalo has yet to pick up their first inch of snow. If they do get it by December 7th to 18th, that will be the record in terms of how late it's fallen. It's amazing.
By a lot. And the lakes are wide open. There is 0% ice on the Great Lakes right now. So that tells you again how warm it is. And we are still very stormy across the Pacific Northwest, the inland Northwest, with some snow and rain. Sort of missing out again some of the areas that really need it, like Southern California. But looks good. 71 Los Angeles for Friday.
The pattern's kind of teasing towards perhaps going towards more of a zonal flow where our temperatures do get warmer the farther south you go, the colder the farther north you go for a change.
All right, still to come on Weekend Reach. So this part of it I'm okay with, right? This is payback from not being able to play golf till like April because of the chill and the snow in the Northeast. But regardless, it is crazy warm east of the Mississippi for sure. West of the Mississippi, you have this, one of our big stories, the big snow, maybe as much as a foot in some of those areas that we have highlighted in purple, and those areas in red. Our other big story, the severe threat all the way from Corpus Christi, Tulsa, Wichita. It's damaging winds, but can't rule out tornadoes. We'll time that out for you because timing is everything. It's not just today. But today, certainly talking about the record warmth. You got an idea of that looking at the golf courses in New Jersey. But from New Jersey to Florida, Texas, even up into Wisconsin, Paul, those records could fall. But it's also behind schedule as far as snowfall total. Snow September 1st, 11.3 inches. Average snow about 16 inches. We're going to get some of that snow today. We're seeing it on the radar. It's all part of our big system and that big dip, which is, of course, feeding the severe weather on the eastern side of it, but, of course, the snow on the other. So Denver today through I-70, but all the way up to Rapid City picking up some snow, and all the way down to Flagstaff picking up snow. Tomorrow begins to be more of that rain and thunderstorms even as far north as the UP of Michigan and Wisconsin. And by Monday, still going, maybe some spots of freezing rain and through portions of the Midwest. We'll keep an eye on that. But as far as snow goes, this is going to be a big one for some spots, including in through western Kansas and central Nebraska with maybe as much as a foot of snow, 5 to 8 in parts of the Colorado Rockies.
Here our chances don't look good across most of the nation until you head to the very northern tier states because of a pattern change coming up next week.
Yeah, notice it's possible, right? So yeah, but we're getting snow right now. Albuquerque, higher elevations outside of Denver. We saw Jackson and Jackson Hole picking up some snow right now. Yeah,
the snow will continue again. We have that throughout the day. We're dry right now in Denver, but the snow is on its way and it sticks around for much of the afternoon. Starts to taper off tonight, but then it really starts getting going overnight in areas of western Kansas.
Yeah, you see Wichita there on the map looking at the heavy rain and the storms, but not that far off to the west. It's that change over to snow. So heads up. Goodland, certainly one of those spots right along I-70.
Yeah, tonight, overnight across the I-29 corridor and into the I-35 corridor. Minneapolis, you could wake up on Monday with some snow showers with this system as rain, again, east of there in places like Chicago, even Milwaukee, just rain for you. But we're still going to see that bullseye of some of the heavy snow outside of the mountains of the west. Right here, areas of western Kansas, maybe 8 to 12 inches of snow with this system.
Yeah, again, that is through Monday evening. So we're talking about between now and then a nice little coating here. So again, for those ski resorts from the Rockies on up into Montana, looking good.
And more snow next week for them as well.
Yes. All right,
stick around.